Hello and welcome to the Road to the G20, where we take a closer look at what to expect ahead of the gathering of the world's leaders. This is in November. There are many unanswered questions, you see, and there's a lot of hard work which lies ahead before this gathering, which takes place for the first time in Africa. So over the next few months, we'll try to get a better understanding of what's needed in this global time of turmoil. To understand the G20, we need to look at what to expect. So the basics. Let's see. South Africa is the first African country to host the G20. Rather significant step forward for our continent. It's also way overdue. You'll agree with me on that one. But this comes with the opportunity of development and tourism, and we most certainly need to grow our local economy. And we need, very importantly, the trust of the big nations. But there are headwinds, and the venue is the City of Gold. There are infrastructure problems. You know this. There's potholes. No street lights aren't working. Generally, the city is in a very poor shape. So we'll be finding out more about what's been done to fix this. Our president, Ramaphosa, he has already warned city officials and the premier to address this situation. It needs to be sorted out. Now the summit. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. The themes are solidarity, equality and sustainability. There's a major poverty problem around the world, and this needs to be addressed. So several African countries will be discussing their debt. It's time to talk about the big issues, the big elephants in the room, so to speak. So who are the players? Well, the various countries will be represented by the G20 Sherpas. Hopefully, the United States will attend, as our relationship with the US is a little bit rocky at the moment. But here at home, there are 15 working groups focusing on various sectors, from anti-corruption to agriculture. There's also our finance track headed by our finance minister and the Reserve Bank governor, with 4 working groups and 3 task forces as well. But we'll explain more over the next few weeks and months. In the meantime, though, our G20 Sherpa, Zane Dangor, has been addressing the United Nations in New York, announcing South Africa's aspirations. Let's take a look.
South Africa has shown firm resolve in our own foreign policy by promoting the principles of justice, solidarity, equality, peace, and respect, underpinned by our commitment to human dignity and to leaving no one behind. We see the G20 summit in November 2025 as a forum where cooperation and collaboration amongst global leaders will be taken to a high level. This, we hope, will be our enduring legacy in the G20.
Well, there you have it. So joining us now to discuss this is B20 Sherpa Coovadia and Dr. Azar, Jammine, who is the Chief Economist at Econometrix. Welcome to both of you, and thanks for joining us. Cass, I'm going to start with you. We've got the B20, we've got business. Where does business flow into all of this? Because you're the B20 Sherpa, but we've got the G20.
So the B20 brings together business organizations and C-suite people from the G20 countries. And over the next few months, we will manage a process in 8 task forces to develop policy proposals and recommendations to the G20. So what sort of regulatory and legal environment business wants to see to achieve what is our theme, which is inclusive growth, prosperity in a cooperating world. So that's going to be our focus for the next few months. We're hoping that by end of August, beginning of September, we hand over recommendations to our president to put into the G20 process, and that they announce some of those recommendations at their summit. In September and October, we will use for advocating our recommendations with our government and the G20 government.
So these are good recommendations, they really are, but Dr. Azar, Jammine, I want to come to you. Looking at the G20, I mean, is this going to be a talk shop? Are we going to accomplish something here? And most importantly, what's in it for South Africa?
What's in it for South Africa is South Africa has been essentially sidelined or relative to the US at the moment, or is likely to have been sidelined. And what's in it for South Africa is an ability to try and establish much closer relationships with everyone else but the US. That is actually the challenge that we face, and it's actually could be a godsend opportunity to actually make a lot of progress in terms of diversifying our relations.
But is it a godsend? Because a lot of people will argue, without the United States, we've got problems with jobs, we've got problems in that our trade tariffs will be massive, we're going to suffer. Can we go it alone?
No, we can't go it alone, but the fact is that the United States could isolate us in terms of their relationships with us. And fortunately, we are not totally dependent on the US. In fact, a relatively small proportion of our trade is with the US, and it's also not the dominant investor in South Africa. So to that extent, we're less dependent on the US than many other emerging markets. But here is the opportunity now to make up for those losses by actually promoting trade and investment with other countries.
Yeah. Cass, I want to bring you into this as well. We've had Donald Trump, who has been scathing when it comes to South Africa. We may have a G20 -1 come November. What sort of a difference will that make from a business point of view?
So, at our launch about a month ago in Cape Town, one of our speakers, the president of the International Chamber of Commerce, which represents significant numbers of businesses across the world, made the point that America caters for about 13% of world trade. We need to concentrate on the 87%. Okay? It's not cocking a snoot at America or anything of that sort, but 87% of countries responsible for global trade say they want to work collaboratively. They believe in open markets. We want to grow our economies in a way that benefits all of our people. And that's who we're going to concentrate on. Now, if America wants to join, and I hope they do, they join. If they don't, they don't. That's their decisions. But we hand over to America at the end of the year. Our counterparts in the US are the American Chamber of Commerce in Washington. They were at our launch, as were a number of American businesses. And we've received the assurance from the American Chamber that American business is 100% behind B20 South Africa. And that's what we focus on. We try to, not concentrate too much on the politics. That's the G20's job, thank God. But we will look at what's good for the economies of the G20 countries and make recommendations accordingly.
You see, that's what I actually want to know. I want to know about business, because there's one thing to have on a national scale Donald Trump saying this, but you also have the local businessman who's got his counterpart. He's been working with this guy for 20 years, and he says, you know what, let the leaders do what the leaders do. We're going to do what we're going to do. So I want to bring you into that as well. Are you picking up as well that there is this relationship that goes between grassroots, goes way down, and people are going to go, Donald Trump, you do you?
Without a doubt, that is the case. And what has been very encouraging in the last few weeks is to see, for example, as an indicator of the trends, the fact that the Rand has not weakened despite all this hoo-ha about our relations with America. And to me, that tells me that the businessmen are still carrying on doing whatever they do best. However, I have heard it that American businesses in South Africa are absolutely petrified at the moment about what the implications of all this could be. But for the moment, they're carrying on as usual.
Okay, business as usual. Now, growth for South Africa. We're battling to get above 1 percentage point for GDP. A G20 gathering, it's time to network, time to see your friends. Are we going to crack 2% because we've got those inside tracks?
I fear not. I think that there are fundamental structural problems facing the South African economy that are holding back economic growth. Cass would have a better idea as to how much progress we're making in trying to tackle those, and whether we will see any results before the end of this year remains to be seen. I fear that even if we do succeed in trying to attack some of the issues, there is a lag between succeeding in that regard, and then business confidence building up sufficiently thereafter to actually see a significant upturn in investment.
Cass, is it difficult? Is it difficult to sell SA Inc.? In other words, we've got a summit that's coming to Johannesburg. Our city's not ready. We've got potholes, we've got street lights, we've got, you name it, we've got problems. Is it difficult to get local business to come into Johannesburg and say, you know what, guys, there is a plan? Or do you just go, look, there's Sandton?
No, so look, I mean, we can't run away from the problems in a city like Johannesburg, okay? But I think that certainly from a B20 point of view, one of our objectives is to utilize the B20 platform, and I must stress that this is a B20 platform. The recommendations we come out with are B20 recommendations, not South African recommendations, not African recommendations. But we want to use this opportunity to promote what is good in South Africa, and there's plenty good in South Africa, okay? To point out the opportunities for investment, to point out what, for instance, the business-government partnership is achieving. So we've achieved a lot in energy. We've always said it's not a straight line, it's going to have ups and downs, but we've come a long way. The Minister of Transport's announcement recently on promoting private sector participation in Transnet is another step forward. So are we moving quickly enough? Of course not, but we're moving forward. I think the trajectory is correct, and we want to demonstrate that. Not through rose-tinted glasses. We want to be honest with people, but at the same time, we think that this is an opportunity, one, to promote South Africa and the continent and what opportunities we have. We are the fourth country in the South that's consecutively hosting the B20, so we also want to put priorities of the South on the table before it goes to the North. And so I think that it gives us the opportunity. If we look at our task forces, I mean, I've been telling people this and they laugh at me. We've taken the decision to limit each task force to 200 people. Now, that 200 people per task force, right? Brazil had between 150 and 200. We've received application in some task forces from 350 people.
Gosh.
So the interest has been phenomenal from across the world. And I think we need to leverage off that. There'll be C-suite people, there'll be experts in each of those task forces. If you look at the chairs we have appointed for each of the task force, we've got critical and top CEOs in South Africa who have put their hands up to put in the work, to put in the time. So I think it's positive, and let's leverage off the positive while we obviously have to continue working away at the problems we have.
Azar, leverage off the positive?
Without a doubt, we have to do that, and the potential is there. It's just that thus far, the data don't show all that much upturn in economic activity. Business confidence has overall improved significantly over the past year. It hasn't yet translated into a big increase in activity, and one's concern in particular has been that the productive side of the economy, that's mining, manufacturing, construction, electricity, remain very weak. Whatever is doing relatively well is consumer spending. But you know, you can't sustain a high growth rate if people spend more than they produce.
You see, right there is the big problem. That was B20 Sherpa Coovadia and Dr. Azar Jammine, Chief Economist at Econometrix. And that brings us to the end of our first episode. What we're going to be doing is talking to some of the ambassadors, talking to some of the business leaders of our country and also internationally as well, right here on Business Day TV. Until next time.